Hello and welcome back to KPVM-TV's Young at Heart. Today we have a very special individual with us, Karl Kosarek. He is with United Healthcare, and he'll have to explain the relationship here. But there's also the relationship between the relationship between United Healthcare and Southwest Medical clinical sites in and around Las Vegas, and there's also a couple of them here in Pahrump too. Karl is going to be talking today with us. Well, actually, back up for just a second. Karl is the health educator, and his primary responsibility is to talk about tobacco cessation or quitting tobacco. But today, we are here to talk mostly about a COPD class coming up this Wednesday. Now, I won't say anything more. I'll let Karl start talking because he knows a lot more about the subject than I do. Let's start with, first of all, welcome and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Shane. And may I quickly correct you on the...
Absolutely.
It's actually the following Wednesday
that
the class is being held.
Okay, so that would be on the 23rd of May?
If that's 2 Wednesdays from now, yes.
Correction then. Not this Wednesday, the next Wednesday on the 23rd, COPD class. We've all heard COPD, well, not maybe all of us, but a lot of people have heard the term or the acronym COPD. What does that stand for?
Simply put, it is chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, and it's a disease that has 2 main types of such. It's either chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and they differ in the nature of how it comes to play on your breathing system and where it is affecting the parts of your breathing system. Chronic bronchitis is an upper airway disease. It affects the smooth muscles and tissues of your airway. When it is kicked in and it affects you, it generates a lot of mucus as well, which is an obstruction of the airway. And then there's emphysema, which happens down in the lower extremities of the lungs, and it affects the tissues. There's a component of the airway called the alveoli, which, when a person has COPD, they become flattened. Normally, they should look like a grape-like structure. They get flattened over time, and that alveoli is responsible, and I know I'm getting technical on you, but the alveoli is responsible for the transfer of carbon dioxide with oxygen, the good air that you and I and everybody else out there needs to breathe.
All right, and I've always pronounced it, obviously I was wrong, I've always said alveoli.
Yeah, well, I could go either way maybe.
Yeah, Latin, it's kind of an old language, so nobody really knows. So the alveoli. Those are like the tiny little air sacs at the very end of the
of the bronchial
tubes. Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And those are very important, obviously, to take care of because we all need to breathe. Okay. The chronic bronchitis and the other one that you had just mentioned, emphysema. You are going to be hosting the class coming up. And you'll be talking about these two diseases.
Yes.
Is that the correct term? Okay, sure. You'll be talking about these 2 diseases, and you'll be talking really about 3 key things about each one of these things. You're going to talk about the science and the symptoms behind this, the triggers, and obviously and how to manage it. Let's talk a little bit about the science and the symptoms first. You had mentioned very briefly that chronic bronchitis, you'll feel, or your tissues in the upper
airway. You won't necessarily feel it physically. Where you'll feel it is in the ability to be able to breathe. The thing about COPD is they call it the silent disease. It takes a period of years for it to develop. Medical science says about 20 years to have COPD become so readily apparent that you get that diagnosis from your doctor. So I would like to emphasize to your viewing public out there, if you have been a long-time smoker or if you've worked in industries where you breathed in a lot of heavy particles from the air, whether it was manufacturing this or manufacturing that, and you don't necessarily have that COPD diagnosis, that I would see your doctor to have a breathing test It's called spirometry, which is the number one way to determine whether you have COPD or not. It creeps up on us over a period of time, comes in kind of little cat's paws, if you will, and you might notice it subtly by beginning to have laborious breathing, harder to do things, you're lacking energy or breath with normal things that you never had trouble with before. So that could be a sign or a clue to ongoing COPD or the formation of such.
A clue to make an appointment to see your doctor.
Absolutely.
Because it's pretty much impossible to self-diagnose something like that.
That's correct.
So what other markers would you look for? Early symptoms. Somebody that hasn't gone to see their doctor yet, wants to, but might be a little bit afraid of doing it.
Okay.
Besides the laborious breathing, more shallow lack of energy, these are kind of common things in almost everyday life. What other markers might there be?
Well, those are the two main markers. Everything goes through our ability to deliver oxygenated air to the blood. Oxygen is responsible for not only breathing, but to feed the muscles with oxygen so then we can power ourselves here and there. So we might be gasping for breath under exertion, or we might feel more fatigue or tired on doing normal things that normally we wouldn't feel such.
Right, and those are symptoms of it. Triggers, what can trigger this?
What can trigger it? There's a whole host and slew of triggers, anything from perfumes, the dust that we breathe on a bad wind day or a high ozone day, that can be a trigger. Pet dander, fur can be a trigger. The list is as long as my arm.
Wow.
And that's the kind of things we're going to be talking about at this upcoming COPD class.
And certainly one of the triggers, the first trigger that I can think of out here is how much dust we have in the air. And I moved out here 11 years ago. I didn't have really too many problems, but as I am here longer and longer, I can tell it's the allergies are getting to me, the dust is getting to me.
Yes.
And I'm not alone with that. I hear that from a lot of people. All right, so in this class, you're going to talk about the signs and symptoms, the triggers, and how to manage it.
Yes, sir.
There's more than just going to a doctor and having the doctor say, take this, do that. There are a lot of things that you can do at home.
Yes, there is. And this class is going to be focusing on allowing you to learn about how to manage your triggers, how to self-empower yourself so that you don't have to go to the doctor quite as often as you normally would if you have the right knowledge and know how to use it.
Yeah.
COPD is a disease once a person gets, you have it for life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you have to lead a sheltered or closed down life. There's ways to be able to manage it through that knowledge, but knowledge is only power if you use the knowledge.
True. You have to have follow through.
Yes.
Absolutely. Who can come to this class?
This is open to anybody within the greater community of Pahrump and further out. It's totally free. It's just going to be a wonderful, exciting time to be able to look at something that you can give to yourself, and that's the gift of health to the best of your ability.
Great. And okay, we'll go through the location and how to contact the people that are putting this on. Again, it's going to be Wednesday, May 23rd at the Pahrump Senior Center.
Correct.
Pahrump Senior Center is located at 1370 West Basin. Their phone number is area code 775-727-5008. And I believe if you call there, you probably won't get in touch with Carl here, but somebody that can fill you in on the information. Carl, if somebody wants to get in touch with you directly, is that a possibility?
Unfortunately, is not.
Yeah.
But if you're connected to the World Wide Web, you could access the United Healthcare site or Southwest Medical sites. If you have the insurance, Health Plan of Nevada, you can access your HEW online to learn more about this class.
Great. And the website address is, I have it written down here, I believe, or do I? No, it's the mainunitedhealthcare.com
Right.
website. All right, Carl, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. It was very interesting.
My pleasure.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck on your class on Wednesday.
Thank you.